Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Millie. You're at my book nook. And today I have just a pretty simple video of 10 books I want to read before I die. Now, not all of these are going to be I want to read them in English only, because fun fact about me, I am fluent in 3 languages. Russian is my first language, just my mother tongue. English is my second language and the language I use the most on a day-to-day basis. And French is my third language. And I don't mean French as in I only know how to say bonjour, au revoir, and est-ce que je peux aller aux toilettes? Or où est la bibliothèque? No, I can speak French. I am fluent in French to the point where when I entered grade 8 at a full French school, full French Catholic high school, but that's a whole other thing, I came in with what I like to call a Torontonian French accent because I was in French immersion beforehand. And I came out with a mix of a Quebecois and like Northern Ontario French accent. So take with that what you will. So the first book I have is, I actually have it, stares at me while I'm sleeping, stares me down. I have Tolstoy's magnum opus, whatever it is, War and Peace. This is the Oxford Classics translation. One day, when I've read all books that I have to read, I will sit down and read this. I will get through this. Now, in English, I don't just want to read this in English. I must read it in the original Russian. I must. It is a must. I can't go through life as someone who is half Russian. I'm Russian, albeit half, but as someone who is Russian, I can't go through life only having read War and Peace and Tolstoy as a whole in English. Like that's I would fail at being Russian, I think. There's a failure of me being Russian. So that's sort of the vibe we have here. Next, I have Lord of the Rings in Russian, and I mean all 3 books. I want to read all 3 books in Russian. I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy last year, so knocked it out of the park. Read it in English, read it in the original, whatever, right? I can reread it at any point. Like, that will be a breeze, I want to read it in Russian. I am reading the first book, so I'm like almost there. Not really. I'm only on chapter 3. But hey, you gotta understand that Tolkien in English is hard enough as it is because it's such a rich book with so many descriptions and so many just like rich words that like when I'm reading in Russian, I am searching like every other word. I'm trying to figure out the meaning. I'm trying to sort of in my head figure out the meaning of the word as I go and also try to figure out where this is, like how it is in the original, because I'm constantly translating in my head. When am I not translating in my head? Always translating in my head. So I want to read The Lord of the Rings in Russian. The specific edition I have is the one I will post on the screen. It's Muravyov and Kista something. I think that's a specific translation. There's like 5 different translations, and all of them have varying degrees of like floweriness, and people have opinions. We'll just put it that way. So I want to read all of Lord of the Rings in Russian before I die, because duh. The Silmarillion. I would like to read the Silmarillion. I've consumed so much content about the Silmarillion, whether it's memes, TikToks, Reels, YouTube videos, which are great, except I don't fully understand the scope of it. Like, I can laugh, I can giggle, ha ha ha, he he he, but I don't fully understand, like, the scope of it. I don't understand what they're really saying. Anyways, so we have the Silmarillion, as I said. This is, I think, the hardest, as far as I'm aware, Tolkien book to read. It's not just Tolkien that wrote it. It was also his son that helped sort of compile it and wrote some things so that they had, like, I guess, an ending based on his father's notes. So I really want to read the Silmarillion. It is very, very intimidating. The next one I have is The Brothers Karamazov. Where's my copy of Brothers Karamazov? I think it's on my table. Okay, I'm too lazy to get it. So by Dostoyevsky. I also want to read it in the original Russian because I can. Again, I can't go through life as someone who is Russian and who's so proud of being Russian, and who talks about being Russian, well, half Russian, all the time, and who has a Russian first name, or Russian last name, or patronymic. You know, I can't go through life without having read the original classics, right? The classics in their original language. So I have to know. I have to do this. Both in it first in English, just to get a lay of the land, because that's how it is, and then in the original Russian. I'm gonna shift like this so I'm more in the middle. And then we have The Three Musketeers. Now I have a very nice copy. Where did my nice copy go? Hey? Okay, I have a really cool copy of Three Musketeers. This is a Barnes and Noble classic. I got this at a secondhand store. It was like $8.99. So this is by Alexandre Dumas. And I read The Count of Monte Cristo earlier this year, and which I loved. And I want to read The Three Musketeers in English as well. You guessed it, the original French. Because how can I go through life saying that I am fluent in French and that I have been mistaken and asked if I was actually Quebecois? Because I have that good of a Quebecois accent, I guess, and not have, like, how can I go through life not having read The Three Musketeers in the original language? It is such a gift. It is such a privilege to be able to read these phenomenal books, to have the ability to read these phenomenal books in its original language. And I'm going to take advantage of that because I have a brain and I'm going to use it. Then we have the Odyssey. Now, I could give you any one of these copies, right? We're just going to showcase that. Here we have the Odyssey and the Iliad. I'm just going to pull this one out for now. This is translated by Daniel Endelson. This is the newest translation of the Odyssey. Thank you, University of Chicago Press, for sending this to me. I requested it, but I love this edition. I haven't read it. The only ones I have read have been where is it? It's somewhere. I've only read the Penguin Classics translation, and a bit of the Robert Fitzgerald and Robert Fakel's translations and bits and pieces. But so I want to read this with the original text that we have. So there's Loeb Classics that have like the Greek text beside it. And I want to be eventually at some point, once I gather enough Greek knowledge, ancient Greek knowledge, I want to be able to read that and understand it. Well, to a certain extent, because it's ancient Greek, but I want to be able to read it in the, so to speak, original. So that is a life goal. Will I ever get to that point? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully one day I'll get to the point where I will be able to read Greek easily, right? Ancient Greek, specifically ancient Greek. Then we have Crime and Punishment, also by Dostoyevsky. I have a copy somewhere. Just somewhere. I have a copy. What in the world? I'm sorry, I had a copy. I don't know where my copy went. Oh wait, no, hold on a second. I don't have a typical my copy. I keep forgetting that my Crime and Punishment copy is not the Penguin Classics because I keep looking for the Penguin Classics. This is the Vintage Classics. Here it is. It's a pretty cool cover, not gonna lie. Yeah, this is not easy. We'll just put it at that. So, Crime and Punishment in English as well as in the original, obviously. Then we have, speaking of another Russian, Master and Margarita by Bulgakov. Look at the cat. Look at the cat. Look at the cat. Look at the cat. Do you guys love this cover? I love this cover. This is very intimidating to me because this is like a satirical piece. And yeah. Also, the font is tiny. Holy cow, the font is tiny. I have to switch to either another copy or my e-reader. We will see how that goes. But yeah, I want to read The Master and Margarita in, again, English and eventually the original Russian. Interesting. So, Master and Margarita. That. Showcase it like that. Then we have, what do we have? We have Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. I have this beautiful, gorgeous signature edition. So I did read this. I read quite a bit of it, actually. Let me tell you how much exactly. I read a couple chapters. Not a lot, but I read quite a bit, which I was pretty proud of myself because this actually reads pretty easily. You know, I might have to do like a vlog of like me reading classics or something like that. So let me know if you want that. And I will input it into the ideas I have. So I love these editions. It's just so simple. It's like this beautiful painting and then just the words and, you know, the title and the author and gorgeous, gorgeous spine. I really want the Count of Monte Cristo version of this. And I also want when and if they make it the Three Musketeers edition, because I just want a really nice edition that I don't have to touch because I already have a red edition. So this is just such a gorgeous edition. And of course, I want to read this in the original Russian, to no one's surprise. Go. And then I have the last thing I have is an author in general, and again in English and in Russian. And we have Alexander, I think he's Sergeyevich. I think he's Sergeyevich. Pushkin. I want to read Pushkin. I want to read his novels, his prose, his tales, his especially his poetry. I did start the tale of Ruslan and Ludmila, I think it is, because a lot of people, it's funny because I go by Mila, right? And that's usually the nickname for the name Ludmila. And people think that my full name is Ludmila, which it is not. So, psych. But yeah, so I really want to read his backlist, everything that he has published. I want to read, and I want to really read it in Russian. Like that's the end goal for a lot of these. I want to build up enough vocabulary, build up enough sort of reading stamina and understanding and knowledge of the Russian language and its words and its vocabulary and its grammar to be able to read the original works of these very, very prolific and very, very famous, for a reason, Russian and / Soviet authors. So yeah, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a slightly rambly one with a bit of jumping around in between, but I hope you enjoyed regardless. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, comment, subscribe as usual. Let me know which books you want to read before you die. And I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!